How about that Xbox showcase? What's going on, guys? Boy Uch, and really quick, I wanted to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the recent Xbox showcase. And you might be wondering, where are any of the trailer reactions? Which you must have had something to like react to, and you must have freaked out at something. Well, to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised that Xbox did not have anything to really get me to pop off. And the closest thing that I had any slight reaction for was the Phantasy Star Online 2 sequel or expansion, whatever they're going, whatever direction they're going with that game is. I recently, maybe last month or so, once Phantasy Star Online 2 became available to play stateside via PC or Xbox One. I went the Xbox One route because I could not get it to work on my PC for whatever reason. I had to go through all sorts of loops and jumps and all these things. Like I had to download a separate client to just try to get it to work, and like it was downloading things that the Microsoft Store was not giving me, and even then, after all that, it just would not work. So I ended up just playing it on my Xbox One anyway. And the game is great. I love the RPG and the MMORPG like aspects to it. It's hella anime. I just like how it feels, how it looks, and there's like a lot to do in that game. So it can get a little overwhelming, but I guess that's like the nature of MMORPGs. But anyway, that was the only thing that they really showed that I had any sort of slight reaction to, because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's what's up, that's cool. That was it. But probably another thing that really got me to react more in a negative light was the fact that they actually had a trailer for a brand new Tetris game. And I think back to how Sony had their PlayStation reveal and showing all their amazing freaking titles, and it was just banger after banger after banger. And that is how you do reveals right. That's how you have a lineup right. That's how you potentially set up your brand new console, and you give the gamers reason to buy your system first. As far as Microsoft is concerned, the only thing that I will still be getting that new Xbox for is Halo and Halo only. And I will say this, they are lucky that I am the kind of guy that if I love a series and I stick with it from its conception all the way through what it is today, I've pretty much played every single Halo game to date, excluding the Halo Wars games because I don't like RTS games at all. But I've played every single Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, 4, Reach, 5. I've played them all and I've loved them all for whatever different reasons. I might like some more than others, but Master Chief is my dude. So with that all being said, they start off the presentation just fine, as they should have, with something big, something impactful, something that a lot of people are probably tuning in to see in the first place, and that was Halo 6 or Halo Infinite. So right after all that was done and showed off, I mean, it's really cool because it's interesting how they're paying homage to the first Halo with this game, especially with its cover and the setting. It's almost like it's a little more vibrant. I don't want to say it's too colorful, because Halo can have its moments where it's colorful, but not a lot of the times. Like I would not sit there and describe Halo as a colorful first-person shooter. Like I would literally just describe it as a game where it's set in some kind of futuristic time period where you're going from planet to planet, Halo to Halo, and you're taking down Covenant, you're taking down brutes, you're taking down all types of hordes and swarms of all types of villainous looking creatures, and it's godlike, lots of action, and very competitive scene behind it, at least back in the day. And like I said, Halo's been one of my favorite games of all time. I've played it since the first one, and Microsoft was very smart to start off the presentation. But as soon as they showed off that campaign trailer and they showed off the gameplay and they showed, everyone was like, yo, that's it. That like Halo is gonna be legit. After that, it just, my interest and everyone else's from looking at chat was all declining. And I have to admit, a lot of those other games look very similar to each other, and I don't mean to discredit or disrespect any of those titles, but I will say those titles are not going to be the reason why I'm going to get an Xbox. The reason still remains with me behind Master Chief in Halo. And it's not even like I'm over here sitting like, oh, but like Uchi, what do you expect them to do? Dude, I don't know. That's the whole point of creating new IPs, having really good surprises. Like, Sony has no problem with doing that. They give us a little bit of familiar, and then they give us a little bit of new and interesting and stuff that makes you like say, oh, I never heard of this, but this looks cool, I want to check it out. And it gives you more incentive and reason to fucking buy that console. But the problem with Xbox and Microsoft, I guess, it's not even just with this presentation that's the problem. The problem, and this is still something that I firmly believe is holding them back from ever making some kind of recovery. You see, as of right now, from how it looks and how it feels, for me personally, this is my own opinion, obviously, all these are my opinions, this is my fucking video. I have to tell you guys that I just think that the direction based on what kind of games they're giving us and what kind of IPs they're bringing forth, I just don't feel like they're in it for whatever long period term that they're in it for. I just don't think that the console wars is going to last very long. Because is there really a war going on if you think about it? The Nintendo has always kind of played to their own tune and their own beat as it is, right? Sony has always pretty much been head to head with, you know, Xbox and Microsoft, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, naturally everyone's a competitor. But the way Nintendo goes about it is they're their own Japanese company that they kind of just turn a blind eye to the rest of the world, and they literally do their own thing every single time. And Nintendo's only getting bigger as far as like introducing way more games that are outside of their doors and just giving all sorts of gamers reason to literally buy their console. It is the perfect blend between home and portable, whereas PlayStation is just, they've just been trying to capture gamers and giving those gamers just new experiences and new games and loads more of experiences to play, while obviously trying to like one up the rest of the competition. I mean, there's always going to be games that are going to be on all systems, but at the end of the day, it's those exclusives that really make a freaking difference. And the thing where I'm getting to is, back in the day, Xbox, when the 360 was around, and it was the 360, it was the PS3, and it was the Wii, the 360 was, no, without a shadow of a doubt, like the lead at the top of the mountain, the head honcho of the console wars. You know why? It was the cheaper option. It literally had hella games, and not for anything, a lot of those games were multi-platform, at least across 360 and PS3, but they had just enough to keep people on the Xbox, especially with having stuff like the party chat. That party chat changed the game. It was the first time that we ever had like a very intuitive party chat. And do you remember the feature that you could literally watch Netflix with your friends over party chat? Like, that shit was godlike. Xbox 360 introduced the achievements, and achievements to this day are, the terminology is still used. Like, people are wondering when Nintendo's going to introduce their own achievement system, and it was so much more satisfying when you heard that sound effect go off and you unlocked something, a part of that game. You achieved something, and it wasn't as good, it didn't hit the same like PlayStation's trophies, and I still don't, to be honest. 360 had gaming by the nuts, and then they got cocky, and here's where it all fell downhill from there. And for this reason is why I feel like they will just never recover, because they still don't understand how to recapture what they once lost. And what they lost is just the gamers, really. So hear me out. So when they must have figured somewhere along the line, while they were right up to leading into them announcing their brand new system, which was the Xbox One, they tried to sway audiences by introducing all of these new features that were completely unnecessary. And for those that remember that E3 where they were legitimately announcing and revealing all of these things and all these features and all these things that you could just do, and it wasn't about the games anymore for Xbox. We caught on, and we caught on really quick. I mean, nowadays people are vocal about just about anything. I mean, you could freaking sneeze the wrong way and you might get canceled. Back then, I don't think social media was really as verbal or as loud as it is now. And as soon as they tried us. When they tried to implement the used game feature, and I specifically remember a feature where when, let's say if you were watching something, whether it was like a subscription service, let's say you're watching Netflix, and they literally said that if someone else that's not you walks in, sits down, and starts watching whatever you're watching, not only is it gonna stop and interrupt whatever the hell you're watching, it's then going to prompt that person to either sign in or pay a fee to then continue to watch whatever you were already watching. So that way they could, make money off everybody. And then there was a feature where when you got a game, right? They were trying to make physical games feel like more of have like a digital feel to it, because at the end of the day, they were focused way too hard on trying to capitalize off of us, the gamers, the consumers, and make a little too much money off of us. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, because at the end of the day, this is a business, and I understand that. We are a part of that business. We are a part of that business as much as they are, as much as the developers and the publishers that are all providing and making these games in the first place. I have to say, we are a part of that shit too, because if there's no us, there's no them. I will never forget when they tried to sell us on, when you buy a game and you want to let a friend borrow it, they can't, because if they try to use your disc, that just means that they're gonna still have to pay something to continue and actually play that game. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember the good old days when I used to have all my friends come over, or I would go to their place, and there'd be games that they would have or I would have, and literally that the two parties, the two sides did not. So when we beat our own games and they did not even know about it or play it or whatever, you just naturally let them borrow it, especially when they lived right up the fucking street. So it's not like you were gonna never see that game ever again, because you would be a good friend, let them borrow it, and then they would just give it right back. And sometimes you would have friends that would just let you borrow games until you beat them, and then they would give them back when they were done, so that way they even have to buy it themselves. But I'm not even gonna go into like the super specifics of like what people used to do. Like, I'm pretty sure people still do this, where they'll go to GameStop, they'll buy a game, and then they'll just freaking return it. I'm like really? But they tried to take that liberty away from us, and I'm sorry, they didn't only just shoot themselves in the foot, but they kind of shot themselves a little bit worse, if you ask me. And right after that, I will never forget how this went. Right after, the day after Xbox went, Sony went, and I feel like they must have changed their presentation, because they addressed how games that they are going to make, you have the liberty of reselling it, letting someone borrow it. You have that right to do whatever it is that you want with your games. And if that wasn't a huge call out, I don't know what is. At that moment in time, PlayStation won for eternity, because we are here now, 7 years later in 2020. We are about to get brand new consoles. Back then, we were about to get PS4, Xbox One. Now it is the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, or is it Xbox One Series X? I don't even know. And as it stands, Sony still has it right. They are for the gamers, and they are literally making the new system, as sexy as that thing looks, solely the first focus are the games. Xbox, they're trying, but does it feel like they're trying? With the titles that they showed off, and having Halo, and then surprising people with Fable at the end, is that gonna be enough? I don't think so. So as far as that conference goes, those are all my thoughts. I really just feel like they are going to have to really step it up and really put some games out there that we are gonna like freak out about. Some suggestions and some thoughts that I had was like, what if they literally came out with like a brand new Jet Set Radio? That's a game that people have been waiting for to come back for a very long time. What if they literally put out a brand new Banjo-Kazooie? Like things like this, that like it's not that hard. Just do it. So before I go on any longer, I want to know you guys' thoughts, and definitely hit me up on Twitch so we could talk more about Xbox and how I think they flunked, and how I just feel like they're just leaning more towards making an exit out of these console wars, and they're just pretty much going to be doing their own thing, and most likely end up just becoming like some kind of a service for their online services, and not so much like, you know, centric around having exclusives and whatnot and whatever. And also, while you're at it, please go ahead and join the Uchi Gang Discord. You can find a link in the description below, so you can talk to myself and other members of the Uchi Gang about video games, anime, and plenty more where that came from. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. May the power protect you. Keep it locked, loaded right here on the Uchi Games channel. I'll see y'all next time.